Hello, welcome back to the third case of Great Ace Attorney, which we are like, I don't know, I'd say like knee deep in, more than ankle deep, I'd say. But we haven't quite finished the first chapter. And yeah, our client, we haven't spent too much time with him. Wait, oh, I just saved, right. You see this here? You see this screen? I didn't have to restart my Switch 2 in order to make the capture card work this time. It's a miracle! So I can just sit back. And we're back in the game. But yeah, we don't know him too well yet. But surely he's fine. Just because he's a billionaire doesn't mean he's a bad guy, right? Right? You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. I think he's telling that... Oh wait, yeah, no. They are back. The witnesses. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. Oh. He filled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much. I tell you, I saw McGildet stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh yes, he stabbed him, yes he did. I think so, yes. You think so, huh? Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom 5th passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's slight little cozenage. Cozenage? I mean, I can assume what it means. But... Beppo, explain yourself. I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. Well, you know, Beppo did mention how he thought those late night shifts were not worth it. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm sorry. You're a disgrace, Beppo, a disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. What? What, rather? 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. I don't think you will. No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. See, you intend to continue the parlor game. I see. You intend to continue the parlor games. I intend to see justice. Absolutely. Said with complete confidence. Let me just have a sip of my chalky milk. I only carried 4 passengers that night. Alright, those were the statements. Alright, press. So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was so cold, it was all I could do to stop myself passing out. You guys got anything to say? You can have shiverings too, but I think you've been doing that the entire time. I don't remember if there's a punishment for pursuing pointlessly. Yes, that was some high-level alliteration. You figured that, you got that, you caught that. I'm getting chill blains just listening to you. It was terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't the dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there had been a fifth passenger on the omnibus that night. Then we would have had another suspect. Well, I for one was told to have... Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. A flat fare of 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy, my learned friend. Much like the Phantom Killer you so desperately needed. It's gone, dead and buried. Aha, but who killed it? Ha! New lead! Somebody killed the Phantom! Boom! Let's go. That's how it works? I'd have been happy if it had ever existed in the first place. He failed us on the fair, he did, and then I saw the blood-curdling sight. Yeah, well, did you though? This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume? Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man on the moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Oh, well, that's different. Good gracious, really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That might turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath. I see. That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help but screaming. Even when I'm eating. That seems like a bad time. I guess there's blood in places. I wouldn't say there's blood all over the knife, but it might be just a figure of speech or something. He saw him stabbing that man. Or did he? So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGillet, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him. That's what I said, isn't it? You don't sound so sure. It was bothering me before this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence. Then what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white, the man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. Is there evidence that goes against what he said? Let's first finish pressing. Oh yes, he just stabbed him. You think so? Earlier you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor, and he described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip. I suppose. I might have, yes. Put the cart before the horse, maybe? What's this? Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horse when I heard the scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So let me see if I got that right. The gentleman was on the floor. He sounds like he's not lying maybe about that part. So what's with the photo being all different? Who set that up? So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment that the stabbing, did I? What's wrong with that? Do I pursue him now, or do I finish this first? I guess I pursue now. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? Some days are like that. Well, probably not. No chance! Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spent your time peeping through the skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. A what? It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, alright. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Right. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man? Blood-soaked hands? Well, I guess, we have a contradiction here. You know, the thought here is always like, do I press and just, you know, so we get to read everything, or do I just present so we don't have to have the game tell us, by the way, there's a thing here. So I'm gonna present immediately. What's wrong with it? These don't look blood-soaked. That's just a little bit of blood. Blood-soaked hands. Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Arrgh! Bite that. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Yeah, but no, that can't be right. So you're the liar here then. Grr. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands. Grr. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth? It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying, but he was quite clear about both hands. He pointed that out himself. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. Shut up. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Nuh-uh. Mr. Naruto, if we had some evidence, yeah, I know, to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have evidence, once I save the game. My lord? Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. Debtor's ledger. Bruce Fairplay, who would have been due to repay his loan immediately. This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilden. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. I feel like I misread that. Like, you know, I got it, but like, the point is, among the names, okay, it does make sense. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worth of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas, not an inconsiderable amount of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilden were to be found guilty of murder, Aofiber. My day today was just normal. How about yours? You been in any murder mysteries? What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between the two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. What a coincidence. Algerian food. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Gah! Order! 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 Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have the most serious implications upon your future, sir. No, that's a witness. He owes our billionaire defendant money. And so we're accusing him of lying about what he claims to have seen. And if you're asking about that guy, no, that's the judge. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Spit it out. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilden's hands, both of them. Huh. So you rescind having seen the stabbing, but you stick to the part where the hands were both covered. Interesting. And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. So you keep saying. What, are you gonna be like, I saw it too, actually? No, of course not. This, you know, why would they speak English in Britain, man? That doesn't make sense. They speak British, which is just a Japanese dialect.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens.
Seeing what?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Yes. Mr. Naruto, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes.
I might finally have a chance to turn things around here.
Schmitten's Schmememory. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters.
It matters. I remember seeing that knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen.
But you wouldn't necessarily have seen. You only see a small angle.
Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there's no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Let's give it a little savey safe. I know everybody watching always loves when I save. It's like, oh, here he goes again, that Cheesus guy, and I love the way he saves this game every 5 seconds. I'm impressed. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the courtroom, the court record.
I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw, but why? Because I think he's telling the truth about seeing that.
Your reasoning is dire.
One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. Guiltily? Wow. You might say you didn't see that. You probably don't have to press that one, but you know. Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know.
But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you know?
Have you hoped to release yourself from
that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
That's not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all.
Hey man, if you had seen the Uma Musume movie, New Era rather, You should have known which one to bet on for the Japanese derby, but I guess you didn't. You don't watch good media, so fucking blame yourself.
I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing.
Right. A little guinea or 10.
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
Is that so?
I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? In court, yes. Let me have a sip of my chocolate.
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands.
Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilder's gloves has any signs of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilder sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question
reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilder's gloved hands. Sorry, who said that? Police officer who apprehended the accused. There wasn't blood on his hands?
This is puzzling indeed.
This must be significant somehow, I'm sure of it. But it wasn't added to any of the statements, so I guess we'll just keep on pressing. You didn't see anything?
Oh yes, sir, that is to say, sir, I didn't. I'm very sorry about what I said before, sir, very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Who wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir, I saw nothing at all.
But Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horse. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? Great point, Ryunosuke. Oh, please, you didn't even see that?
It was so cold that night, you see, it was all I could do to keep myself from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid, sorry to say, sir.
Yeah, you need some better working conditions, bro. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service in London's cold winter nights.
Beppo!
Poor man can't win today.
Fact remains, there can't have been anyone else.
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus.
That's right. It was fiercely cold out that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember. I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
True.
Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
Why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
That is rather suspicious and worth mentioning. It was locked?
That's right, and it's a public bus service for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence
that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? Nuh-uh. They might not have been able to. After saving. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? Yeah, below you. By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Like, here? Both rows of the seat on the roof face in the direct direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Ah, that's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite of the one which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Yeah. It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I'm probably the first Japanese person you've met, so fuck you. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruto? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witness on the roof deck? It could have been the killer. Does that count? If not, then I have no idea. Do I? I guess I'll pick I have no idea first, because I think that's probably what I'm supposed to say. But if I am just supposed to say I have an inkling it's the killer, then that would be kind of a bummer. I have literally no idea. But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on. This isn't just a case of going on, Mr. Sato. Alright then, I'll go on. The defense would like to put forward a name. Okay, well. Let's see. You're a fool. Hold on, let me open the court to court. There we go. Maybe we do have some names that oh, I guess, right. Yeah, no. The person, right, we're asking about who was sitting opposite, right? And since people claim to have seen the stabbing happening from the side, I guess. Maybe we were going to say that Magnus was sitting on the other side? Because whom else could we fucking point out? Right. Let me check the history. Who could have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight? Yeah, I guess. Right, we're still under the assumption that the victim was stabbed from the side, even though we've also been told that he was stabbed from the top. But, that response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned.
Let us not delay, Counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was
My defendant, I guess. Because he wasn't the killer, but the guy sitting next to the guy was.
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witness on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, Counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Yeah, but... Dang. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van Zieks?
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. Damn, dude. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Yeah, exactly. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built, and that's exactly why I said that, you bumbling idiot. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, Counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim. Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only the one glove bears the gory remains. Exactly. So you can follow along, Mr. Van Zieks. The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them. And who was this third party? The schmactual schmeller. Actually, obviously, the true culprit.
Extraordinary. Order, order, order! What exactly are you postulating?
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused. Nuh-uh. But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes.
The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see...
the tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. Right.
And what particular styles of the hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
Right, nice hatter then.
And you call yourself a hatter?
The style of that of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the third culprit in the very cabin in which she traveled. He did claim he was asleep, didn't he? Earlier on.
He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Or maybe he's trying to hide the fact that there was another guy for some other reason. Like he didn't kill him, but he was involved in some way. Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out to be the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not?
I mean, probably. But maybe there's a reason to not. I mean, we have heard a statement from him. Maybe that was before the actual court proceedings began. Maybe he just said that to us, that he was asleep or something. But we might not need him to come out if we can just use that old statement. But let's just say that we demand his testimony. As I have some more of my chucky milk. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say.
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Right.
Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
Man, oh man. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear.
Maybe. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to this court discourse of the day?
To be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Begad, no, 'tis not in my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the questions, please.
The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all, or keep my mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded?
The fine fella representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true.
Aye, and 'twas me who helped an urchin get away after it all happened.
Uh-huh.
You... what?
Urchin?
No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was... well, the child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see.
What?
If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statement to be disregarded by the court.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Bang! Oh shit, what was that?
Smoke! Ah, fire! There's fire! Look, someone's trying to get away. After them, it's no use. I can't see anything through all the smoke.
What's going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruto. Cover your face.
Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
Oh shit.
We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos and as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. There's the first chapter ending. This first chapter alone took me almost 3 hours. So, once again, I'm being completely fooled and lied to by the internet about how long something takes. So is our guy here? He would be quite foolish to just run away, right? What on earth just happened in there?
Mr. Naruto, I've managed to find out what happened.
Mr. Sato.
I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke.
A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use.
They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long.
But who would have done something like that?
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Flee the courtroom? Why?
Well, it's a young girl for around 15, I hear.
Another 15-year-old girl, huh? A young girl. Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilded was just talking about?
My thoughts exactly, but why would she act like this now, all of a sudden?
But he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here.
I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions. Along with a young girl.
Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself?
There's another matter that's troubling me.
What's that?
The 20 pence.
Oh,
mathematically, yes, we know who paid and stuff. According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo. He took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly.
But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers.
Which means the figures don't seem to add up again.
Well, the girl could have snuck in there unbeknownst to anyone noticing, or there could have been special circumstances.
For why Mr. McGilda didn't pay or something? She's right, that is strange.
Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. Trial will recommence in 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Soto. Yes. Let me open my window a bit. The air's a little stale. There she is. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilda, look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. But why? She could have just remained hidden. Nobody would have known.
Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilda. Now then, Lord Van Zieks.
My lord.
I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier.
It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, of the sort typically employed by the army.
Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name?
It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. And now occupies the stand.
Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
Ahem, if I may, my lord.
Yes, Mr. McGilda.
I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is.
Very well, Mr. McGilda, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case.
Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. And the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, bigorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I set him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. Fella collapsed.
I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather on the night of the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct?
'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the 5th passenger, my lord.
Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses.
Was it witness or witnesses? Witnesses. The other one didn't really say anything, but sure.
Are you ready, counsel?
Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Took the back seat, And when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either.
You were the first passenger, as it were, I see.
Aye, and that's why I took the backside as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, 'tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite, the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable one and where I feel the most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. But if you want to just gaze through the skylight from there, you'd mostly see the back of the front seats on top, wouldn't you? Oh well. What kind of scream? A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground, that sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well, now, you remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment you did hear a scream. Ah, from the seats above you on the floor, on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, my lord. No. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. Fellow collapsed on the floor. Why would you put him up there? You set him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said, I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a man just lying on the floor now, would you? I mean, in those circumstances, I probably would. 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Ara, Lord Van Zeeks. Now, why would that be? Ara, he's all suddenly turned into a Japanese lady. You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well, now, as you know, I am in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no, I was already intending to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example? Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes. The scream, he says, he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find out where the scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? What did you find? I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except for yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing, the wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you will excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious. Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubby hole there for storage. Mr. Naruto, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yeah, I know, we've checked it. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. I guess I'll check again in case there's now something new to discover, but that would be kinda dumb. Wait, was this blood always there? That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? No, it's just, well, bloodstains so obvious, that's all. And yet, Van Zeeks has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? That was not there before, was it? I don't think that was there before. And now we're going to find something in there that also wasn't there before, aren't we? The seat has a handle, it seems. Yes, a lot of things are gone that were there before. This is a storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. I guess they couldn't guarantee that you would check these things beforehand, so they couldn't have been like, oh, there was something in there before. Bit of a shame that they didn't at least, put a thing in there that it checks whether or not you check you looked. Whatever. Anything else different? Any other terrible changes? I think the rest is the same. Somebody tampered with that shit. That's what the confusion was all about? Probably. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball. But why would she have screamed if she couldn't have seen anything from in there? You said she was hiding herself. Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. Well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. You're really overacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman here. There, rather. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. So you're claiming she was wearing a hat? But I guess she's wearing a hat right now, but not the same kind. I guess that could be a detail that doesn't, stand out. Gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witness did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGirded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Hi, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course, with a scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up to the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. We haven't gotten to how you, sent her away yet. The events, as explained, are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. Lestrade, That's a name that should be familiar to the Holmes fans. She's a chancer. Earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Well, but, it's fine. She's like Robin Hood, right? Order! Order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Well, she's got a gun. Arrgh! He's dead. She killed the judge. How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Ah, the girl. She's gone. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot be thinking. Grown-ups all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slip up and got caught on the job. She got herself back into the corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, no? Ah! Couldn't I at least also have gotten the pink stuff? That looks much more, much nicer. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. She's cute. Let me guess, you don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah. This was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheeled drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Ah, do not wave that thing in my direction again. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question. Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. The way she looked for him to him for permission is definitely not strange. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. Let me have some water. Sorry. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me rubbles that night. I'll tell you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then, after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of my skin. I did. And the stream just came out. It's because of that, this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. Because you were sitting on her? How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. Is it? I think we can imagine. This is where I was sat that night, and the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Yeah, because there was definitely nothing in there at the time, other than her. Aye, but of course the wee lass was stuck in there, because I parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah. You see, that's why I let the last bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like that.
I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
Right, yeah. And yet here I find myself doubting him evermore. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Does that mean it's a not guilty verdict then? You know, if 6 in favor of guilty means it's over, then 6 in favor of not guilty must mean the same thing. Right? I'm not sure that's a good thing at this point anymore, though. Given the way the omnibus might have been slightly tampered with in the time suddenly when he mentioned the girl and then she caused a ruckus, and surely that's just a coincidence, though. He's probably fine. Saints alive. All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning to a verdict of not guilty.
So, Zeeks, wanna do some examination bullshit that you hate? Of the summation variance? Yeah? Wanna shatter your own pride? Huh? Know how it feels now? Mr. Naruto, it must mean...
It must mean what?
That they were victorious.
We've won?
Are you sure?
Boom!
I was waiting for him to do that. Because of course I remembered this animation. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. The jury system? Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. That he's an upstanding gentleman who cares more about the well-being of girls, you know, of innocent girls than his own, because he knows he's innocent. That sounds like a super great guy. What do you mean his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. And in mine. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report.
Good lord.
The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. Mickleder's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? I mean, maybe we all saw wrong, you know, maybe it was a mass hallucination, you know, maybe I saw it wrong and the police saw it wrong, and, you know, it happens, it's possible.
How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel?
Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Yeah, I can corroborate that. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead, you tell the court now, fellow. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Franziques. We can't lie now.
Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter?
How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I didn't look. It wasn't empty. I'm gonna be honest, man. We can't lie. Look, man, if our guy is innocent, then the truth in all matters is what we need to tell. And find. One lie begets another. It wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping him in my case, my cause as a counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes.
Are you sure, Counsel?
Ah, bewitched. What are you saying now, you daft daw? I thought you were on my side here. Daft daw, idiot. What's it gonna call me next? What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Then why did you ask me, huh? Were you gonna catch me in a trap if I say, oh no, there was nothing, huh? Are you disappointed that I'm not a liar like you think I am? Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. Case not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That there cubby hole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interests now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Nuh-uh. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here?
I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think.
Is he drinking, by the way? Not just water? That sure looks like some kind of flask of non-pure contents.
That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that right irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and the pickpurse are lying.
Why, he sure... No, flipped his opinion quickly. Ah. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. They're stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick, of course it's a trick.
Quite so, I must concur here.
No.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Right, yeah. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. Back to neutral. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, the verdict of not guilty at this point would be wholly inappropriate.
Thank you, Your Counsel. But before we proceed any further, there's the matter of the outstanding cross-examination.
Right, we haven't even done that yet.
Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please.
Witnesses, probably. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. And how he feels. Apparently most people just rescind their defenses when he's the opposition, so maybe he's just not... Maybe he's having fun, you know? He's finally having a match again.
Just like always, you're a repeat offender?
So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point in spending a Joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, ain't it? I suppose she means there's no point in spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Well, in a way, but also not.
Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief? Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants.
Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers, 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch for a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, you see. So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself in under there. Nice and easy, right?
But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, you know. No comment?
Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much.
And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia.
Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you.
It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Nothing to show for it. A waste of time? Why is that?
Well, most nights I'm on my own in the guard permit at least what? On my own in the guard permit at least some of the time.
Most nights I'm on my own in the guard permit at least in the guard permit. Is that like a phrase? Like in the guard permit as in there in that during that time? Whatever. I beg your pardon? Did you say God permit? So even he doesn't understand.
Oh yeah, well that's what my kind called it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose.
Okay.
The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while.
And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away?
That's it, only that night. This curve was sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch, I was totally stuck.
Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin?
Yeah? Right, mister?
To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Mrs. Straight couldn't possibly be the culprit then.
I'll tell you, you can't see a blind thing in the hiding place. It's pictured in there.
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all?
Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's who I'm gonna fiddle.
Who I'm gonna fiddle?
I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. Haha. I mean, I can't have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, I see.
I can have a look, sorry.
So most of the time, the passengers planned themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, these Irishmen spent the whole journey right over me head.
And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see.
Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place they hide in the damn them carriages, so it's Upson's choice.
Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor.
Probably. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick it out under there, nothing else for it. Then after a while, I heard a loud bang.
When you say loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling on the floor?
Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump.
And you let out a scream involuntarily.
That's right. And then I felt the cushion over my head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab the victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at the crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. What? I pushed up the cushion and added a quick butchers while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up to the bloke who had fallen on the floor in the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilder's account, of course. But then the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should have never risked looking. This swell. And when Mr. McGilder discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place. I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his gut. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. How awful. Both me hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog. Huh. Both her hands were covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilder for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed.
Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck. One would presume.
Well, I didn't want no one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. Then the others, the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided to defend the defendant was innocent.
For one brief shining moment, yes.
It's clear that they are all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want.
Yes, I think you're right, and I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Let's check our evidence again real quick. We have this armband, which is going to be very important. Internal hemorrhaging, single stab wound, this photo. There's a button missing. Might be important. The leather gloves, the schmomnibus. Surely our gloves weren't messed with. They look the same? I'm not really seeing anything to present here, but let's read through again. Snuck inside the carriage. Could be one of those rare cases where you have to press something from previously after pressing something later, you know. But for now... Got nothing. Can't see a blind thing. Loud bang. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. Huh. Could be like, oh, you got that button, but that doesn't seem like much. Like I could point out this valuable-looking murder weapon that she could have stolen, I guess.
But in a situation like that, would that be something you think about? Like, even if you are a pickpocket? I kinda don't think so. But let's press this again, maybe. Waste of time, where's that? Uh-huh. Yeah. This Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I don't think she is the culprit. So that fits. I don't see anything wrong with this. I guess let's press this again. I don't know. A loud bang. Could have been. Don't remember. Made her jump. Did you see something? Sitting up. No change in anything for this guy. But as Andy turns around, it looks right at me. Huh. I have nothing right now. Like I could try presenting that knife there, but maybe we search the cabin again or something. Maybe there's another detail that that I'm missing. Doesn't appear to be a handle on the raft. So I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin at least. It's like these tiny little bits here. Wonder if we can point those out. Nope. I'll try presenting that, even though I don't think that's very strong. Yeah, no, I didn't think so. Let's just consider the implications of that statement for a moment, shall we? What implications, Counsel? Nothing strikes me about it. Exactly. There's nothing striking about it. What's just striking? What does strike me is your propensity for the insane, however. Inane, rather. I need to clear my head and come at this again from a different angle. Yeah. Nothing to show for me troubles. Snuck inside. I guess I'll repress the other ones that I haven't repressed yet. But keep an eye on the guy, even though I think every time, you know, you do need to pursue somebody, there's like a very obvious reaction. 4 pence, That's you. Red conch. Usually. Nobody bothers. Nothing new from there. We checked this already. I mean, let's check that again, even though I really don't see a problem with it. Yeah. Oh, okay. That didn't happen before. I ain't too happy in a small dark place. Pretty sure it didn't happen the last time. Been thrown in the clink. The main statement that didn't make any sense to pursue any further is the one that we needed to press again. That's, I don't know about that. Is something wrong, Mr. McGirded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Mr. Strade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps? You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twasn't nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see, yes. I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now, okay? Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Mr. Strade? Did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. But jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me fibbles, you little scamp. Ha 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 ha. What a pity. If only Mrs. Strade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue, or maybe the fact that she didn't hear something is more important. Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? It's profoundly important, but I will say, even though we lost a health point. It's so important, my guy. My lord? I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel, nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating the last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. She's not the one on trial. I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was nothing but snoring. Let's press it first. Press that, and then press my chalky milk into my mouth. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hit yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butt chest to see what was what. But then, when I saw this swell getting on, it got me I got me head down, so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah, would you and leave it, eh? What a mug. What? So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. Isn't that weird? So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court. It clearly is clearly at odds with the facts. Ah! At odds? Are you sure, man? I kind of like when they just say man. It's so colloquial. Absolutely. It seems my learned Nepalese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zieks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, whilst she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGill snoring. But think, Rioneske, think. There's something else she should have heard. Show of person. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On the particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person. Me! I'm not even in here. Dang, no one. Thrice-fired Mason. Bada-boom. You didn't hear him get on? Thrice-fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus.
Order, order! Explain your reasoning, counsel.
Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That I was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own, for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? No, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't I? Waiting for the swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah. We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah. Uh-oh. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zieks?
Lord Van Zieks.
Yes. He knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency within Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? We just did his job for him. You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more.
Is that right? How could the victim possibly not have her aboard the omnibus?
That makes no sense whatsoever.
And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that.
Uh-oh. What? Just no words. Just guilty. She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
And neither can I.
Mr. Foreman.
I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars.
Make your own, statements, dude. Mr. Naruto, that's 5 jury members leaning towards the guilty. Who's left in the not guilty party? Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Look, man, the prosecution is clearly drunk. We cannot take what he says to mean anything. What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? Amadan. This is Karn, it's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruto, the way this is going, I know, we can't find if we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGill's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept our truths.
No, wait.
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Counsel. I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean? Just listen, okay? Just hold on.
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once.
When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand.
And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage.
If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Maybe the murder didn't take place inside of there. But then, that would mean that our own guy lied about putting him there after Stefan. Hold on. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. He was in there already. That can't really be. There's another entrance that would have still been heard. He was put there after he died. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying. But that would still leave some of the stuff that we heard from our witnesses a little hard to explain. And like you would have, from what the other witnesses, who were sitting at the top saw, there must have still been somebody there while the lady was down there, I think. So you must have been in there already? But how? Like, if he had been hiding in there and then they switched, then she would have known, obviously. And he couldn't really have been hiding anywhere else. I think it's gotta be this, even though it does have some inconsistencies that I mentioned. But the other two are pretty much pointless. Right? What other entrance could there be that she wouldn't have heard? If he had come from the skylight, which apparently doesn't have an opening, right? From our investigation. Then surely that would have been heard too. And, you know, I think the thing has doors on both sides, but you would hear either one. So I'm gonna go with this. But, as I said, there's problems. Obviously, the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed. Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that obviously in your last statement? Well said, Lord Van Zieks. The obviously is troubling me also. No, that's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved on into the carriage afterwards. Then answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage? Well, obviously... Well, I shall have to penalize the defense heavily for this irrelevant rambling. Okay, well... I must learn to ramble more irrelevantly. Penalty is evidently not heavy enough, judging from those Nipponese eyes, so I ask you again. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? These make less sense to me than this, but... How could he have already been there? It's a small cabin. She couldn't have gone in there and not noticed him. So I guess it's the entrance. But maybe, you know, maybe it's not a guessing thing, right? Maybe, I mean, probably isn't a guessing thing. But how, where, what do I find? The thing. Phoenix right. Oh, from here. Okay, from here it has an opening. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witness could have been able to see around. That's not good for us. Okay, but I'm now seeing the opening, so I guess he could have come in from the top. But once again, I still think that opening this and especially landing in here would have been hard to avoid not, you know, making sound. But I guess, you know, it's the only thing that makes any sense, I guess. Wait, I didn't mean to do that. I got confused with what button is what. I guess it's the opening. The other entrance. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. I wondered what new fantasy would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. Oh, okay, but still, that doesn't matter. The other has only windows, fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there's no entrance to the cabin other than the door. Nuh-uh. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. All right, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin? Right here. The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight.
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words, however. The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through. So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addled brain theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Mrs. Strayed said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Right, yeah, I guess he could. That's when he could have been dropped in. Yeah. Yes, which has already been explained as the sound of the victim falling from his seat, having been assaulted with a dagger. But would that really be that loud? Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it. You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but they could be in on it. Though they don't really sound like that. Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, Lord my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention that what happened. Would yous not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof. She's writing fanfic. Don't bother her right now. You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were... Ah. Hold it. They're back. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? Blitherer? Oh, that's a nice animation now. You rotter. He said, you rotter. What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay. You're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker. You keep going on about how you're a banker. And me, a very angry hatter. Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's... I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right. I protest too. About you rotten scoundrel. Well, he's having a good time, though. Order! This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. This is outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zieks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My lorded friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. I mean, I didn't directly say that. Accuse? I have never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting.
You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British court of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. Hey man, it's not entirely baseless, it's just, you know, we're making theories. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we waiting for? Get them to testify.
I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another.
If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose it at once.
Testify.
What's happening, Miss Naruto? The spectators in the public gallery are in a complete frenzy.
Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony, in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
What are you looking around like that for? I guess because of the people in the public screaming for testimony. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. Shouldn't it be keep pushing forward? Whatever.
We were the only two people up on that roof deck, dead or alive, I can swear to that.
If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? Well, could be in on it together.
In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. Yes, you could.
If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine how either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck, without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see?
We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another.
What?
Eh?
According to investigations by Scotland Yard,
the two witnesses share no common dealings. Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Well.
Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please.
Oh, yes, my lord. What an interesting trial. Give it a save right now. Give it a save. Save goddamn that game. Save that game and then continue playing. Nailed it. You can swear to that?
Swear to me.
So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck?
Absolutely not, Dickon.
No question about it, he said. No, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here. Did you?
Is this true, Mr. McGildy?
Dear me, my lord. At the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately.
That's an outright lie. Without doubt, you were engaged in.
Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? It's all about evidence in the courts these days, so is it? So it is. You'd do well to remember that.
I saw you with my own eyes.
This is going so well. Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. I don't know, man, when they were sitting, if they were sitting next to one another. I don't think darkness even is a matter. Even if they had their eyes closed, it would have been really hard to not notice somebody stabbing a guy there.
Is this some kind of a lark?
Is this some kind of joke? He said. Is that what this is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly?
Are you fair to dinkum, sir?
Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you.
I'd give you the keys to that vault if you could fall asleep in that bit of cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you would never open them again.
That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and I didn't hear Eddie at all. That's a lie, I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold, 'tis hardly surprising. Seeing things. They get along so well.
I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point.
Ah, you! Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really. So you had never met Mr. Thrice Fired Mason before?
Oh, Lum? No, not once, not ever.
He'd never met the man before, he said. Never. And you, Mr. First? You had no prior dealings with the victim either? That's right, sir. I just don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir. But, doesn't this guy have a pretty familiar looking hat? Or rather, a hat that seems to have been worked on. In a similar style, as in a not so good style.
No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
What do you have to say about that? Mr. McGilded? Yes, Counsel, what can I be doing for you? Doing you for? Did the witness's last statement give you pause for a thought somehow? Not the remotest connection. Is that right now, I wonder?
What are you insinuating now?
Ah, Mr. Fairplay, that has been too long, so it has. If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment date?
I beg your pardon?
You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir.
At an unconscionable rate of interest, you tricked me. It's extortion.
Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off to another?
Arr!
Using that logic again. And my young Mr. Fowl first. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat sliding about on your head, is that one of your own creations, is it?
Well, I'm just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door.
The perfect fit, is it? Well, it is a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I'll tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as the rice-fired mason. Ah. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence afore, my lord.
Oh, this, you mean?
I can't help thinking that the poor fella's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh. That's one of my hats.
Aye, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours.
The sort of customer, I'd wager, you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods.
Oh no, sir. Absolutely not, sir.
Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see? I could have pointed that out too. I rest my case.
You little weasel. Arrgh!
He's better at this than I am.
Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been through this thorough in his research, hasn't he?
Or maybe he planted the hat somehow?
No. He's innocent.
Please, don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings.
Skylight was shut the entire time. I tell you, we couldn't possibly have opened it.
Yes, you could. Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time?
I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute.
He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see, it's shut fast now, just like it was on the night.
So it is, of course. A fella the size of Mr. Mason could likely break right through it, still and all.
What?
Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand?
Now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we?
Let's stop biting our cane, shall we? Yeah, that seems like a bad habit. I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when I broke wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens.
Okay. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First.
Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is I tried to open the skylight, you see. But just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as a rogue, I did.
Whoops. Red is rouge, probably. First off. Yeah, rouge. Are you expecting me to sentence you?
Oh no, sir, the point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside that cabin, for shame.
From inside, that's true, but...
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade. It opens. The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right?
Don't fire that thing now.
All them skylights open dead easy.
More easily than you can load that weapon?
That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh.
Seems like an odd construction, though. Why would you be able to open it from outside but not inside?
Look, a few weeks ago I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out my ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did was, I used the skylight, opened the hatch, the catch, and jumped right through.
What?
Yeah, the catch on the skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin.
The skylight opens from the roof deck?
Yeah, man.
Bailiff, climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once and verify this witness's claims.
It's so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my hat. See?
Order, order, order! So it appears that the street girl's statement is quite true.
I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Naruto. This could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, my lord. So the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself? Can I now?
Because I wasn't able to before.
So the skylight was fastened shut before. But now the catch has been undone. We should be able to open it.
You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening for sure.
There's a lamp in the closed cabin, I'm sure remember.
That's not good for us. I guess maybe now we're supposed to look at it from inside, unless there's just no point other than to confirm that it, you know, it does work. Okay, nothing new to interact with there. We've already checked the blood stain, so I guess it's open now. That's all we need.
Passengers supposed inside the carriage on the roof deck that night.
Still haven't, you know, added that to the to the evidence, I guess, but maybe it just counts now. Where's our proof? Well, I guess maybe there's supposed to be some kind of proof, some kind of evidence left at the scene, like a missing button. I don't see anything new. Or anything old that I... Oh, wait!
Now I do.
Again, hello? Maybe I gotta check that from inside. Maybe the angle isn't good enough yet. Okay, well, I guess let's go inside again. Wait, that doesn't count. Oh, gotta go from the other side. Gosh dang. Gosh darn. There it is.
Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruto.
Why someone like me?
Ah. What is it? Look, just there. Look at this. That's without question. It's blood. Why would there be a bloodstain there? Surely it can't be unrelated to the case, can it?
It kind of seems to share the same color as this, rather than this. But I guess the color here is different because it's soaked into the green or something, but... You know, that just the fact that they share this more similar coloring, I guess, makes me suspicious that maybe this wasn't there before. But no, it's definitely, it's conclusive evidence that helps us find the truth, for sure. Definitely. I am convinced. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom.
What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence.
No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible.
Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom. Counsel,
My lord.
I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here. Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You will point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight.
Okay. Right there.
I'm trying to move it just a little more.
I need the perfect angle. This is perfect. This is better.
By Jupiter, is that blood?
Ah! This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open.
What?
And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime.
No!
Huh, hey, Weffer. You were the burger joint? Okay, okay. Did you stab somebody? And or get stabbed?
Order, order, order!
Chili Cheesus burger, huh? Well, yeah, you're welcome. I did that for you.
But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin.
And only found its way to that one particular spot in the skylight? Sure, and that would be very convenient. And let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. Thanks, even though I feel like there's a lot of trickery afoot here. I, myself, wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But... There's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? There's all too plain, you see, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height. Right there, so it is.
What? No.
But it can't be. It's a lies.
My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof that the defendant's innocent of the defendant's innocent, can't we?
I believe we can, yes, sir. It's clear to me now that where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they?
I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it.
No, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful part couldn't have done such a thing. Yeah, you were never doubting him ever.
1, 3 then, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
I thought so. A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what could you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight. Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed. That's kind of what I feared. What are you talking about? It's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood. I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety. No such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But...
Are you suggesting, Lord Van Zeeks, that the stain of blood was...
fabricated, my lord, yes. And while this court has been in session. What? But who can prove that now? Heh, what a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your stand, Lord Von Zeeks. But I'm Magnus MacIldid, a fella known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. MacGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. MacGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Tut tut, Lord Van Zeeks. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, Counsel? Oh no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the sky that didn't exist, you say? But if yous will all cast your minds back. Is it not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, Counsel? Well, I mean, there was definitely one moment. It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time that court has been in session. My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think. It could have been possible. To answer this after saving.
But as always, I say the truth will solve all.
As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There's no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility. Oh.
Good gracious. Explain yourself, Counsel.
Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from this deceit.
Deceit?
I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Bang.
Everybody run! Bailiff. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Are you wise? I am.
What are you trying to pull, you rotten feckless gouger?
Okay, that's another new one. Feckless gouger?
You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. There's a plot to undermine me, so it is.
I'm simply finding the truth so you can get out of this truthfully, rather than deceptively, you know? Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier, as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus.
Inconsistencies, such as...
To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. The smear on the ground there, was that there? Did I really just not notice that? Did I? Did I really just not notice that? That's crazy, but so typical of me.
Unfortunately, Lord von Zieks, no one is able to corroborate your claims, except for the police.
That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. But we checked the compartment at least. We couldn't check the skylight, they wouldn't let us. But, you know. We can corroborate the part with the storage, and we did.
Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not.
Indeed, my lord, no doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus?
The bloodstain on the floor, maybe that is new? Maybe there's fingerprints?
I mean, there's probably something. Dip, 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 dip. Let me close the window again. Yep. I have an inkling. In Splatoon, but I prefer Octolinks actually. So it's actually I lied, I don't have an inkling. My lord.
Yes, counsel?
There's one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial.
What?
What in the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare to betray me, you little maggot, you better... Silence, McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification. This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here?
I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark that you claim appeared at some point during the trial?
So I didn't just miss this yet. Unless there's something else that I did miss. That's gotta be this, right? That's blood, isn't it? Something wrong? Well, bloodstain's obvious, that's all. Deeks has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Yeah, that's gotta be it, right? If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom.
Good lord. Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel.
Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. Nah, man. I'll fight for the truth, bro. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Yeah.
Warriors of the truth. Yo.
Aye! This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but 'tis all over now. But you're the defendant. 'Tis over, I tell ye. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there, now. Well... And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. That's kinda true. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zeeks. Well, my lord!
I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence. And in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. I'm assuming we don't have blood tests to check, you know, whom these different bloodstains belong to. Could very well be animal blood or something, you know, the ones that were planted later. Your lordship can't be serious.
Lord Van Zeeks, what is your position?
The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present.
Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication.
Adjudication, right? Adjudication, yes.
As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first.
What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGildet will be found not guilty.
Yes.
Which would mean we've won? Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, but all these with all these unexplained inconsistencies?
Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please.
The moment of truth. Are we true to our character? To our stuff? Or are we simply here to win?
Yes, my lord. The defense believes the defendant could be guilty. I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGildet. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence.
What are you saying, man?
Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent.
Good gracious me. Order, order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocence into question. Are you of sound mind?
Oh, 'twas a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was a grand decision.
What?
I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exquisite spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah. Your job is done, fella. And some fine work you've done, so you have...
What do you mean?
It's just the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it afore. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it? Now, nothing more than a formality.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Wah, ha, ha, ha. Can we not do anything else? Is the truth to be forever lost?
I really don't know what to make of all this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake?
His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something, you. Mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us this lovely part.
now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial.
What? Really?
Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea.
I thank you kindly, my lord.
However, I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court.
Yari. But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth.
Lord Van Zieks, my lord, the case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
But wait. When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zieks ordered the evidence to be secured.
I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter.
That's so unfair. You hearing that, Reaper? You hearing how good of a guy we are?
The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment.
What? Well, Lord Van Zieks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fellow, I couldn't have asked for a better defense.
Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time?
'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter any further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law.
Magnus McGill.
Good grief, you've more to say to me, have you?
Just one thing, a warning. This is far from over.
Well, it's something to be looking forward to, then.
I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGill, not guilty.
Yay! Yay! We did it! We won the case. Our billionaire client is a good guy. He's innocent.
I can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent.
Well, at least one person believes so.
With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end. With the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us.
Well.
"5 p.m. I think it started around 10, so that took 5 hours. 7 hours actually. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's 7 hours. The Old Bailey. That certainly was a long trial. Yes, it was. Your first ever trial on foreign soil, and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance.
A wonderful performance by our defendant.
My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Mr. Sato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant.
That's not true.
You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Yeah. Mr. McGill. And that girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh? What stories? about the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure yous must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, definitely. Were there 6 of them? I didn't count. I'd heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I've used it to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out there a free man then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. This water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGirded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Hi. They've all seen that I didn't do the odious and abstinent deed. It's grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellas of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have, after all. I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. And I'm sure you pay them in full. No questions asked. It's not that funny. So then, as we agreed aforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Yay! Oh, no, I couldn't possibly... No, take it. Fucking take it. Bewitched. Bewitched. You're humble people, are you? You from the east. Well, if you insist. But have this. Have this still and all, you deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGirded.
Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom.
Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe.
I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself.
They're going to examine it again? Now?
Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing me best to help where I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain.
Can we also check it out?
And there he goes, a free man. Hey, girl. Oh, I forgot she was here too.
Don't shoot.
You know, it takes really long for you to do that.
Don't move.
Whereas I want to say, get a move on. She really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down?
You're grown up.
Sorry?
And I ain't all grown-ups.
But you just worked with one much more grown up than us. Ah, there you are. Oh, wait.
Naughty, naughty, running off like that?
Is there some kind of picnic? Who's that little girl now?
And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ha!
Boo.
Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me.
Grr. Excuse me, but who are you?
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
The inventor?
Normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself.
Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing into a different omnibus and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. A what's it? What? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyway, you're coming with me now, back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician. What? You mean, say sorry? You must be sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? Huh. I don't trust no adults. Come along then, follow me.
Well, you know, this girl clearly isn't an adult.
Fine, have it your way. Okay, you see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end.
I'm fairly sure that what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours.
We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye.
I'm sure we'll never meet her again.
I'm so sorry for all the fuss.
Definitely not gonna be a recurring character or anything. She was a lively one.
Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too?
Yes, you're right. But where to?
Oh.
We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here.
All our traveling cases are still with a bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings.
But at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck.
Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night.
Right. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilda Park.
I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe if we use body heat to keep each other warm.
I think midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, what is that? Doesn't sound agreeable.
Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilda down.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room or a mansion.
Yeah, just take the fucking money, bro.
And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London.
However, as we were soon to learn,
there were more trying times ahead, just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned. The case was far from over.
Oh my god.
Cutscene. Oh no, it's burning. Uh-oh, the entire thing is burning. Look at that. He sure ain't no Hosonaga. Somebody's in there. Surely it couldn't be. He doesn't look surprised. End. Oh shit. Well, I suppose we did it. We solved that case today, like I was hoping. Though it sure feels less like a complete case and more like, you know, the opening act for something bigger. Well, okay. The icon's different. It's not our typical Naruhodo thinking. It's somebody else. I mean, I guess, you know, it's Holmes. It's clearly Holmes. But does that mean we're going to play from his perspective, or is it just going to have him evolved more? We'll see. Maybe that's the icon for like an investigation part rather than a trial part. You know, it even says investigation here. I don't remember. But yeah, this case, I did remember from the start that there was something afoot with our client. That he pulled something, you know, during the case and that he might actually be guilty. But of course I try to not
let that on as the case was going on until it became kind of apparent, right? With him messing, well, maybe not him necessarily, but with somebody messing with the evidence. But yeah, interesting case, you know. A client of ours actually not being innocent is a rare sight in this series, and it happening like so early on in the game is even rarer. And then them also just getting an innocent verdict almost against our will, I think that's the only time. So yeah, it's an interesting case. It's also interesting, I didn't remember this, that this third case in the game, I think there's 5 cases in this game, like pretty much normal, that even this took only one quote-unquote day, just like the first 2 cases, which is, once again, very different from every other Ace Attorney game, right? Usually it's like the first case is 1 day, it's just a trial. Then the second day is like 1 day of investigation, 1 day of trial or something. And then the following ones are, you know, like 2 days each, or maybe even 3, depending on the game. But this here is going very differently, and you know what? It's good that they're not just going by the formula, right? Like, okay, well, the first day's got to be this, second this, and then blah, blah, blah. They're going, hey, no, we'll do whatever fits, and that's good. That is very good. It's like how the final case in Ace Attorney 3 is actually only 2 days each, instead of the typical, 3-3. Just because that fits that story, fits those events better. Even though, of course, that case, much like what we saw here, I guess, had kind of a pre-case, the in-between case, like where you play in the past, basically. But still, the case itself was 2 days each, and yeah, I appreciate when they do that. Keep things fresh, keep things, sensible, I guess. But yeah, we're not going to start the next case yet, even though it's only been like 3-ish hours. Because tomorrow, Metroid Prime 4 launches. And I'm going to play that. So we're going to have to put this on hold. As I said yesterday, I guess. I thought we had more days before Metroid Prime 4 releases. But I was wrong. And so we're going to have to put a stop to this. But we'll come back to it. And this is like a decent stopping point, I guess. I guess after the second case might have been a better stopping point. Because now we're kind of like entrenched in the drama that we just witnessed. But that also means it's a better, more compelling cliffhanger to pull us back in once we come back. And hopefully Metroid Prime 4 will also compel us to keep coming back once we're in there. But yeah, I guess that's all I got to say for now. Oh yeah, I think I haven't mentioned this yet. But I guess while I'm just rambling, I actually went and did all of the side quests, at least all of the ones we had in Pokemon Legends ZA. If you remember I think I did the Raichu one on screen, right, on stream. But I also did the Pikachu one off stream. I did that other fossil quest, the blue one. You had to level that up a bit and then fight the child who likes the T-Rex more with that Pokemon. I did that one. And then I think there might have been one more. But then also the Furfro League. Which luckily there is, I think in Wild Zone 19, there are higher level Furfros. And even Alpha Furfros. And catching one of those definitely helped. I didn't have to level any of them up, luckily. I caught 1 Alpha and 2 regulars. Gave them some haircuts. Which sadly turns out those different stylings don't make a difference other than visually. I was hoping they would either change their typing. That would have been interesting, but they don't do that at all. If they don't do that, I was hoping they would maybe change their stats a bit. They don't do that. Or at least give them some unique moves that they can learn that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. That's also not the case. So it was just like, it's just a stylistic thing. And then, with those 3 Furfro, I was able to beat the Elite Four of Furfros, and then the Furfro champion. And yeah, it wasn't, it was cute, but it wasn't like super interesting or anything. Let me have a sip of water real quick. And I was hoping that after beating those quests, that I would have all of the side quests done, which I think I do, because on the list it says I have, I think, 119 out of 119. I was hoping that that would open up, like, the final quest. Like, oh, you beat all of them? Here's this extra thing. But nothing popped up on the map, and I even went back to the lookup bureau, to visit my wife, Emma. But she didn't have anything for me either. Nobody said anything. I don't think I even got a research reward or anything. So that was a bit of a bummer. It also didn't take super long, so it's not, it's not a big deal. But it would have been cool to get something extra. I was gonna, do those quests, see if there's something new, some extra bonus quest, like I was saying, and then do that extra thing on stream. But since there's nothing, of course, I have nothing to do. So now you know. And yeah, that means we're going to be done here for today. Done with the Great Ace Attorney for a little while. And so I will thank you for watching, hanging out, and getting our awesome not guilty verdict. Yay! And I hope you'll join me again sometime, like tomorrow, when we dive headfirst back into the world of Metroid Prime for the first time in over 10 years? Right? The last Metroid Prime game was on the Wii, right? Prime 3? And I don't think there was any spin-offs on the Wii U or the Switch or the 3DS. So yeah, first time we're really back. Of course, there have been other Metroid games, at least one, I guess. Metroid Dread, which was awesome, which I also have. Obviously. But yeah, Metroid Prime, been a while. And it's gonna be amazing when you're there. And I'm there. Because it'll be teamwork. For sure. But yeah, be there, it'll be nice. And until we meet again, I say it's gotta sama. Bye-bye.